We all know that people have been striving for centuries to acquire the ability to fly. Now, thanks to aviation, we can not only travel quickly through the sky. Skilled and seasoned pilots can do real stunts, perform aerobatics, and unique air shows. Dangerous and risky aviation cases also captured on camera as a reminder that it is better not to joke with flights. But in any case, these shots are breathtaking. To combat fires, the crews of firefighting aircraft drop special flame retardant chemicals on forest areas in the path of advancing wildfires. By some miracle, no one was injured when a helicopter spun out of control, twisting like its rotor, and collided with an airplane. Landing in such poor visibility is possible only for pilots with specialized training and certification for operations in extreme conditions.
Minimums.
Unfortunately, weather conditions such as strong winds, rain, or poor visibility often prevent passenger planes from landing on the first attempt. In such cases, pilots perform a go-around. Before flying away, the pilot decided to perform an astonishing stunt. It seems these pilots have found the perfect way to express their love for the sky.
And we're going to get a giant heart in the sky for all of you sweethearts in the audience today. And we're going to pierce that heart. How about that?
One can only imagine the stress experienced by the pilot when, at the most crucial moment, a car drove onto the runway. The pilot of this plane demonstrated incredible skill, flying at an extremely low altitude right under a bridge in Hungary. Regular fireworks pale in comparison to this aviation display. The Il-76 military transport aircraft can carry up to 60 tons of cargo or a group of 126 paratroopers, making it essential for combat missions and humanitarian operations. The lifting capacity of some helicopters is truly impressive. They can transport heavy equipment, construction materials, and even participate in rescue and humanitarian missions. The landing of this helicopter stirred up a genuine dust storm.
Will he do it? Not sure. Yes, is he going to move it forward and get it into the lock in the front? Yes, he has.
Thanks to their ability to hover in place, helicopters are indispensable for rescue operations at sea. Surely residents of this house weren't thrilled about being doused with chemicals, but they'd likely prefer that over a wildfire reaching their home.
Oh my god! Holy woo!
Though the runway was far from ideal, it suited this plane perfectly. Performing synchronized maneuvers in the air is one thing, but landing multiple aircraft simultaneously requires extraordinary skill, experience, and precision. Have you always wondered what is at the top of the Egyptian pyramid? Here's the answer. This is what an emergency ejection looks like. Even if the pilot is thrown upside down, the parachute will still deploy correctly and save his life.
What a twist! Haven't you expected to see this either, have you?
Are you proud of the ability to feel the dimensions of a car? This pilot will show you who the boss is. Can you imagine the emotions of a repairman when a helicopter lifts him to the cable? The work needs to be done right under the propeller of this giant suspended in the air. Such a reverse tailspin not only looks beautiful, but also tests the capabilities of a fighter. In addition, it also tests the pilot. Modern fighters are able to hover even vertically only to land abruptly. What a dangerous maneuver, but so cool. Thanks to modern super lightweight materials, they managed to create a small flying bike. You just pedal and you fly. An emergency landing on water for a passenger plane is a difficult test, but the experienced pilot managed to save the hull of the liner and avoid it sinking. The wedge of military aircraft above the clouds looks menacing and also beautiful. The pilots chose the speed and altitude perfectly. If you think that in the sky, unlike ordinary roads, there can be no accidents from collisions, then you're wrong. It was lucky that the disaster was avoided. The barrel maneuver at this speed not only shows the strength of the pilot's character, but also the strength of his stomach. Of course, you can't deny this fighter's courage, but perhaps he made a mistake in choosing his profession. Flying amongst the rocks in an almost transparent helicopter cabin is an unforgettable adventure. Even through the screen, the views are amazing. The loop-de-loop is considered the most difficult maneuver in aerobatics. However, these aces managed to complete it not only successfully, but also synchronously at a minimum distance. The more planes there are, the higher the risks, but this team clearly feels confident in the sky like birds. Flying above the clouds is a dream come true. At first glance, it seems that the plane has a swelling. In fact, this is a special liner for transporting massive devices that cannot be disassembled.
To be honest, I'm speechless after witnessing it. What about you?
What a risky but incredibly beautiful takeoff. Just a cloud of spray behind created this rainbow. The slightest deviation could have led to an accident, but experience and skills saved the day. Now we can see planes of different weight categories nearby. It's a shock. They're landing on one wheel. After touching, the landing gear breaks, but the speed has decreased and the belly of the aircraft has withstood such a load. What an interesting version of driving, don't you agree? This helicopter maneuver is a real know-how in the world of sports. It looks cool, but it resembles planting seedlings. These parachutists look like grains that the plane scattered. The jet engine of this design retracts from the front, so taking or landing off in the snow looks very original. Immediately after takeoff, the four fighters begin to converge so that there was a minimum gap between their hulls and wings. Only incredibly skilled pilots are capable of this. The new generation of fighters is multi-purpose. In the past, we had such experiments. This is a reconnaissance aircraft which has a strange edgy shape for the sake of invisibility to radars. This is what the absence of fear of heights is. For them, exchanging objects right in the sky is like passing a salt shaker across the table for you. There were several risks during landing without landing gear. This is not only the impact of the bottom on the ground, but also the impact of the propellers. However, the plane did not roll over and did not fall apart due to the pilot's calculation and luck. This is what a hard landing looks like from the cockpit of an airplane. A modern fighter does not just hover in one place, but also rotates around its axis. It seems that the pilot of this plane has always dreamed of water skiing. The camera was fixed on the bottom of the helicopter. We can see the process of extinguishing the fire from an unexpected angle.
There are things that are absolutely impossible to believe, and how could this even happen?
The training dump of tons of sand from a huge Boeing looks epic. Such a plane could put out a huge forest fire in a couple of turns. The perfect calculation of the trajectory and the time for the turn allowed these pilots to draw a flower by using huge fighters in the sky. The unexpected opening of the cockpit right in the sky was a terrible challenge for everybody, but this girl did a great job and managed to land the plane. If there is no car recycling press, you can always use a helicopter. In this case, the car can be dropped from a height and gravity will do all the work. It's more expensive, yet spectacular. The pilot makes a complete maneuver in just 2 movements, clarity, coordination, and many years of experience. From the first second you realize that this plane is huge, but you only realize the real scale when you see a huge wave of sand rising behind it. Even though airplanes are protected from lightning, flying through a thundercloud is still a challenge. This is an old-fashioned romantic classic. Look at this heart in the sky. When an airplane dives, it experiences several seconds of zero gravity. This is what it looks like. What would you think if a huge military helicopter suddenly turned around and started flying after you? Not only did the pilot manage to land the plane without landing gear, but he also correctly calculated the position of the hull so as to not destroy the propellers. Military helicopters can deliver various cargoes, including lazy planes. That's how the pilots feel the strong shaking due to the wind, but they fearlessly land despite the storm. The plane started to go down, but a second before the crash, the pilot managed to level the aircraft and successfully make an extreme landing. Apparently, the plane decided to show who is the fastest here, even on the territory of boats. When a giant plane lands on the ground, being under it, even at a safe distance, is an unforgettable experience. Nine planes at high speed first form a figure and then, due to a change in altitude, merge and fly away in different groups. What an impressive accuracy! As you can see, performing a barrel is like crossing the road for you. What a real superpower! Such a large number of lightning bolts when flying through a thunderstorm is frightening, but makes us admire the power of nature. The rescue operation was risky, but the skill of the helicopter pilot and the bravery of the rescuer allowed the evacuation of the injured person.
Before watching similar videos, it would be great to buy some sedative pills. One needs nerves of steel here.
If the pilot had even slightly deflected the tail, the helicopter would have crashed into the water, but the actions of the pilot are impeccable, and we are witnessing an incredibly low flight of the Ace. We have more experiments in the field of aircraft. How do you like such a manned drone? When you decide to fly, it's better to fix things. This is what having lunch at the highest altitude looks like. From a culinary point of view, there is nothing special, but the surroundings are amazing. Testing the engine of a new generation fighter looks like a special effect. Few things inspire pilots more than the trust of their team, who are not afraid to stand directly under related fighters. An operation of a military helicopter at extremely low altitude is amazing even on the display of your computer. Can you imagine what it's like to be around there? The four planes converge and avoid collision only thanks to the perfect precision of both the moment of the figure and the movements. This is how the transportation of a military Hummer using a helicopter looks right from the side of another air transport. As you can see, it is also being refueled right in the air. There's nothing special, just huge airliners are washed exactly like that. It is both effective and efficient. Landing on a super short runway requires not only precision but nerves of steel. This pilot has a complete set of them. The movement of the aircraft's propellers caused an area of increased pressure. As a result, there is such an unusual visual effect. The extreme landing of a light aircraft from the cockpit looks like this. The tension is greater than in the coolest thriller. Even if the four-legged creatures realize that they are at a great height, they don't care. Their trust in the owners is stronger than any fear. The plane went down at a very low speed. It was turned around and hit the ground with its wings, but the pilot managed to keep its balance and save the aircraft. Aviation allows you to enjoy the view of almost the rarest clouds in the world up close. It looks mysterious, like from a fairy tale. It seems that this child already knows who he will become when he grows up. It is impossible to fake such delight from flying. Propellers for aircraft can be used in different ways, for example, to create such devices. To land with a parachute right in the cave and not get the slightest injury is to be lucky and a perfect planner at the same time. Futuristic jetpacks and flight suits are becoming a reality. It resembles the flight of the Iron Man. Tony, is that you? That's why military helicopters are so huge. They're created to easily carry no less massive equipment and even guns over long distances. When the pilots decided to film the approach, they could not have imagined that they would hear an alarming warning about the malfunction of the landing gear. In such situations, the crew has no other choice but to prepare for an emergency landing, which of course is an extremely difficult and risky operation. Unfortunately, after a hard landing due to the failure of the landing gear, the aircraft suffered serious damage that will not allow it to return to service in the near future. With each rotation of the blades, a dense curtain of dust and sand flies around. Surely other pilots are jealous of the pilot who was lucky enough to demonstrate the capabilities of this helicopter during the exercises. Before performing the parachute jump, he had the opportunity to enjoy the view and capture these impressive shots. It seems that the planes are so close to each other that they can transmit messages via Bluetooth. A condensation trail is formed as a result of the condensation of water vapor in the atmosphere. They condense and freeze, creating clouds. They can be of different lengths and durations depending on environmental conditions such as temperature and humidity. One might think that life in this area is not easy given that the windows of the houses are shaking from a passing plane. However, do not worry. This case is exceptional and part of the aviation show. The takeoff of this aircraft is marked not only by the deafening sounds of powerful engines, but also by the fact that a cloud of dust or sand remains behind it for a long time. This is a great training option for honing your helicopter control skills. I can't even believe that he did manage to open these bottles. Landing an airplane is one of the most critical moments of the flight. Many people watch it with admiration because it symbolizes the completion of the flight and successful return to the ground. This airport, together with the airline, organized a farewell ceremony for the pilot in honor of his retirement. Heavy rain significantly reduces visibility, which makes the approach process more difficult. Pilots can only see blurred contours, which requires them to be highly concentrated and precise in controlling the aircraft. The use of instruments and navigation systems becomes especially important in such conditions. Most people don't often get the opportunity to see fighter jets in action, as such flights usually take place at military bases or in remote areas. However, this becomes possible at aviation shows. Here, viewers can enjoy the skill of pilots, complex aerobatics, and incredible speed of maneuvers. Interestingly, some consideration traces can remain visible for several hours. In a clear, cloudless sky, they quickly evaporate, and in a cloudy one, they stay for a long time. Even though it is really sad, but civil aviation pilots cannot afford to increase speed in order to prevent another aircraft from overtaking them. This pilot, who skillfully performs such incredible maneuvers in the sky, demonstrates not only his outstanding aircraft control skills, but also a deep understanding of aerodynamics and flight physics. When an airplane appears out of a dense veil of fog, as if appearing out of nowhere, it creates a unique sense of drama and mystery. The pilot of this helicopter not only demonstrates amazing precision and skill in landing, the blades seem to be stationary in the video due to the fact that their rotation frequency coincides with the frame rate of the camera.
And we're moving on at the speed of light. All the most interesting things are still ahead.
When extinguishing fires, there is always a need for additional water. Therefore, sometimes helicopters have to ask for help from neighbors to scoop up water from nearby pools. Technical malfunctions of the Turkish military transport aircraft almost forced it to land on the roadway. This situation could have led to serious consequences, however, no one was injured. So a group of firefighting aircraft is working harmoniously, collecting water from the sea to continue fighting the forest fire. This is a great day to celebrate a national holiday. It is an air show where planes emit smoke in the form of an Italian tricolor. It seems that the pilot of the plane was just a little jealous of the parachutists and decided to join their flight. This eyewitness managed to capture the unique moment when lightning struck the plane. According to statistics, such cases occur only once every few thousand flight hours for each aircraft. However, modern aircraft are designed to withstand lightning strikes without endangering passengers and crew. What can be more exciting than the moment when the plane starts to climb? Every second increases the distance from the bustle of the Earth, and the Iron Bird itself gradually dissects the clouds. When the propeller blades rotate, they capture air and accelerate it downwards, creating lift. During this movement, interaction with the surrounding air occurs, which leads to the formation of vortices, which are rings of spirals visible in the air. I think that the appearance of this helicopter excited the fans even more than the game itself. Do these vacationers think that the most impressive thing they would see on the seashore would be an extraordinary airplane flight? Extinguishing forest fires by dumping water and special substances from the air is really one of the most effective methods of fighting fire. Flying at extremely low altitudes, the crews risk their lives when faced with extreme heat, smoke, and changing weather conditions. Passengers sitting at the wing should be especially vigilant since they are often the first to notice if something happens to the engines. The airspace is regulated by air traffic controllers who are responsible for the coordination and management of flights, ensuring the safety of air traffic. They monitor the movement of aircraft and control their route and attitude. This time, the pilot's facial expressions convey all his feelings and emotions. I wonder if these people at the top are happy that they conquered it, or are they begging for help? Not everyone would dare to drive under a bridge while a massive airliner moves across it. The person who took the risky step of lifting a multi-ton airplane with a crane surely knew the idea could end in spectacular failure. Landing a plane on an icy surface without a traditional airstrip is an exceptionally challenging task, reserved for only the most experienced pilots. During its descent, a helicopter suffered an engine failure, which could have led to catastrophic consequences. Fortunately, the experienced pilot managed to take control and execute a safe landing.
And how do you like such a twist? To be honest, I can't do without your comments here.
The Mk-2 Aurora spaceplane was designed to transport cargo into space. Its unique design allows it to reach altitudes of 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface, return, and complete repeat flights. While helicopters are usually involved in mountain rescue operations, this case was unique. A helicopter delivered a climber to the summit. The lifting capacity of some helicopters makes them indispensable in a wide range of fields. Unfortunately, even these powerful machines sometimes meet their limits. Even without taking to the skies, aviation enthusiasts can find many fascinating ways to indulge their passion, from attending air shows and museums to using flight simulators. Some unique aircraft, such as the Concorde, are equipped with a nose section that can change position. During takeoff and cruising, the nose tilts upward for better aerodynamics, while during landing, it lowers to provide pilots with improved visibility. There's something particularly captivating about the graceful and smooth way airplanes move through the sky. The launch of carrier rockets into space is a monumental event that opens new horizons for science. It's no wonder so many people dream of witnessing this moment. In developed countries, helicopters are already actively used to extinguish fires, a critical tool for combating large-scale blazes or fires in skyscrapers. Dangerous maneuvers and aerobatic stunts are reminiscent of incredible acrobatic feats performed by humans, where every movement demands precision, skill, and flawless calculation. Thankfully, despite the terrifying situation, no one was injured. However, the same can't be said for the planes involved, which sustained significant damage. When Cleveland residents hear the sound of breaking the sound barrier, they immediately recognize that the Blue Angels, the U.S. Navy's elite aerobatic team, have begun their training exercises. The pilot of this plane is a true professional, yet from time to time he allows himself a bit of fun during flights, attracting thrill seekers eager to join him. During an emergency landing, no one can guarantee its success. In such situations, everything depends on the actions of the crew. The world never stands still, and aviation is no exception. Engineers around the globe work tirelessly every day to modernize aircraft, making them faster, safer, and more economical. This is precisely why pilots regularly undergo tests to ensure their vestibular systems are functioning well. Not all pilots can boast such dexterity in controlling an aircraft. It's fortunate that the sound of the approaching helicopter scared off the beachgoers. The Hawaii Mars Sea Bomber has taken its final flight. Recently, the plane has been used as an effective tool for extinguishing forest fires. However, its final resting place will now be the British Columbia Aviation Museum. Watching videos like this inevitably sparks the desire to finally go skydiving yourself, doesn't it? What's better than a single parachute jump? When 151 skydivers do it simultaneously, it's an incredibly spectacular sight. With a sufficiently strong headwind, the Super Cub plane can take off from an extremely short runway, or even practically from a standstill. No one has yet come up with a better method for spraying insecticides than this. For people afraid of heights and flying, this video is likely to send chills down their spines. The Connor K3 is an innovative aircraft capable of operating both in the air and on water, making it a versatile mode of transportation. Synchronized flight and precisely coordinated maneuvers make a truly breathtaking spectacle. The first flight of the F-15 fighter took place back in 1972, but even today, the power and technological sophistication of its engine are awe-inspiring. This is none other than the largest aircraft graveyard in the world. Here, you can find both damaged aircraft and those that have been decommissioned. This soft airship didn't pass inspection and likely won't participate in the upcoming event. Even for modern, maneuverable helicopters, landing in the mountains is a challenge. It's no surprise that aircraft frequently sustain damage in such conditions. Stress caused by flight delays often makes passengers lose their composure.
What an incredible footage! We always strive to choose the best content for you.
Airplanes rarely crash in cities, and this is no coincidence. It's the result of meticulous engineering and strict aviation regulations. A nighttime flight on the 4th of July is special as the city glows even brighter than usual. It's clear that this operation demanded the highest level of professionalism from the pilot and left no room for error. Although there are no roads in the sky like on the ground, there are strict rules for air traffic. Many think aviation shows feature only fighter jets, but that's not true. For example, in Slovakia, Airbus pilots showcased impressive synchronized maneuvers with massive passenger planes. Landing a plane is always a challenging and risky moment. It's no surprise that not all landings are smooth. This isn't just an air show, but also a ground attack training exercise for Swiss Air Force fighters. When pilots encountered technical issues, they decided to make an emergency landing in a field. While it wasn't soft, it was relatively successful. It's a truly spectacular sight. Filming against the backdrop of such a takeoff must have been unforgettable. Some roads can be used for landing small aircraft as their size and technical requirements allow it. However, when it comes to large passenger airliners, the runways should be much wider and longer. Landing during snowfall is a real challenge for the crew. For spectators, however, it's a mesmerizing process. Undoubtedly, this moment could be described as one where your heart sinks. As a plane accelerates, the air pressure around it changes sharply, causing moisture to condense and form a remarkable vapor cloud. Restricted visibility and the rocking of an aircraft carrier make landing even more hazardous, where precision and timing are critically important. Only an experienced pilot can execute such an operation flawlessly. What compelled this helicopter to fly so low over the road? Perhaps the pilot was practicing complex maneuvering or dealing with unforeseen circumstances. Aerial refueling is one of the most challenging operations in aviation. This time it was carried out at an altitude of 4 kilometers and a speed of 700 kilometers per hour, requiring exceptional precision and skill from the pilots. Strangely enough, for this plane, such a takeoff is entirely routine and not at all dangerous. If you ever see something like this, consider yourself lucky. You're witnessing a plane breaking the sound barrier. It's unlikely that someone with a fear of heights or flying would dare board a gyrocopter. It looks far too vulnerable and unstable. Being on deck might be risky, but witnessing this spectacle live is irresistible. Not all pilots are qualified to land in strong winds. This requires extensive training, experience, and specialized skills. The roar of this aircraft shook a small town, capturing the attention of all its residents. Even an experienced skydiver would likely be terrified in such a situation. Seeing a plane on fire in the sky induces fear and horror. Imagine what it must be like for the passengers on board. This contrail will linger in the sky for a long time, leaving a striking reminder of the impressive flight. This wasn't a water landing, but Dubai Airport during a flood. Judging by the driver's reactions, he was stunned to see a plane on the road. Thankfully, the incident didn't lead to an accident. Pilots of such planes likely wouldn't find roller coasters thrilling anymore, given how accustomed they are to adrenaline-filled aerial maneuvers. Nighttime landings have a special magic. The runway lights, shimmering strips, and starry sky create a unique atmosphere. A braking system malfunction caused a plane to skid on its belly for several dozen meters before stopping in a field. Fortunately, neither the crew nor passengers were injured.
It was so cool! It's hard to comprehend how this is even possible.
This is probably the last thing airline passengers would want to see. The Swiss Air Force's incredible demonstrations in the Alps occur every year. Spectators on the slopes have the rare chance to see jets breaking the sound barrier in a narrow canyon just meters away. To execute sharp turns and complex aerial maneuvers, pilots must have an excellent sense of balance and spatial orientation. In strong winds, landing doesn't always succeed on the first attempt. Pilots may need to go around for another try or divert to an alternate airport. It seems the pilot's spatial judgment failed, resulting in the helicopter blades damaging a building during landing. To drive away a pack of wolves attacking livestock, helicopters had to be used. From above, they attempted to scare the predators with warning fire, turning the rescue operation into a real battle. A tilt rotor is a unique aircraft capable of vertical takeoff and landing, combining the properties of a helicopter and an airplane. Believe me, you can't miss it because of the loud noise of its rotors. There's no need to worry, these planes are perfectly fine. The pilots are simply practicing aerobatic maneuvers. A fire on board an airplane is one of the most serious emergencies imaginable. It is able to spread at an incredible speed, making it difficult for the crew and passengers to act. In this case, the crew must immediately take measures to extinguish the fire and make an emergency landing and evacuation.